Long, long ago, before the great flood covered the earth and before God judged people, there was a good man chosen by God. He was a wise man and a skilled craftsman. God favored him and took him up to see the secrets of the heavens, where God lives. Enoch became an eyewitness to God's wise, great, and unchanging world. He saw God's servants, who had many eyes and were brighter than the sun. He saw God's throne, which no one could reach, shining with endless light. He saw the different parts of creation in God's perfect order. He saw various amazing sights and heard the cherubims singing in a way that words cannot describe. He saw glory that no human eyes had ever seen. This man was named Enoch, the son of Jared. He told the truth about the 10 heavens. God took him there, and Enoch wrote down everything he saw in the Second Book of Enoch. Now, let's explore his amazing journey. The beginning of the journey. Enoch said that when he was 165 years old, his son Methuselah was born. After that, he lived for another 200 years, making his total life 365 years. One day, on the first day of the month, Enoch was alone in his house, resting on his bed, and he fell asleep. While he was sleeping, a great sadness filled his heart. He cried in his sleep and could not understand why he felt such distress or what would happen to him. Then, 2 extremely large men appeared to him. Enoch had never seen anyone so big on earth. Their faces shone like the sun. Their eyes were like burning lights, and fire came from their lips. Their clothes and songs were of many kinds, and their clothes were purple. Their wings were brighter than gold, and their hands were whiter than snow. They stood at the head of Enoch's bed and began to call him by his name. Enoch woke up and clearly saw the 2 men standing in front of him. He greeted them, but was filled with fear. His face changed color because he was so scared. The men said to him, "Be brave, Enoch. Do not be afraid. The eternal God sent us to you. Listen, today you will go up with us into heaven. You must tell your sons and everyone in your house. Hold everything they should do on earth in your house while you are gone. Tell them no one should look for you until the Lord brings you back to them." Enoch quickly obeyed them. He left his house and went to the doors as he was told. He called his sons Methuselah, Regem, and God, and told them all the wonderful things the men had told him. Enoch said, "Listen to me, my children. I don't know where I am going or what will happen to me. So now, my children, I tell you, do not turn away from God and worship false gods who did not make heaven and earth. For these false gods and those who worship them will be destroyed. May the Lord strengthen your hearts to fear him. And now, my children, no one should try to find me until the Lord brings me back to you." The first heaven after Enoch told his sons this, the angels took him on their wings and carried him up to the first heaven. They placed him on the clouds. From there, Enoch looked and then looked higher, seeing the sky, which seemed like an endless expanse. They placed him firmly in the first heaven and showed him a very great sea, much bigger than any sea on earth. They brought before him the elders and leaders of the stars. They showed him 200 angels who controlled the stars and their duties in the heavens. These angels fly with their wings and go around all those who travel. From there, Enoch looked down and saw the treasure houses of the snow and the angels who guard these scary storage places. He also saw the clouds, both where they come from and where they go. Then they showed him the treasure house of the dew, which looked like olive oil, and its shape was like all the flowers of the earth. Many angels were guarding these treasure houses and knew how they were opened and closed. The second heaven. Then the 2 men took Enoch and led him up to the second heaven. There they showed him a darkness greater than any darkness on earth. In this place, Enoch saw prisoners hanging. They were watching and waiting for a great and endless judgment. These angels were dark and looked more terrifying than earthly darkness. They cried constantly all the time. Enoch asked the men with him, Why are these beings tormented without end?" They answered him, "These are angels who turned against God. They did not obey God's commands, but followed their own desires and turned away with their prince, who is held in the fifth heaven." Enoch felt great pity for them. They greeted him and said, "Man of God, please pray for us to the Lord." Enoch answered them, "Who am I, a human being, that I should pray for angels? Who knows where I am going, or what will happen to me, or who will pray for me?" The third heaven. After that, the men took Enoch from there and led him up to the third heaven, where they placed him. Enoch looked down and saw the things produced in these places, things so good that no one had ever known such goodness before. He saw all kinds of sweet-smelling flowering trees and their fruits, which were also sweet-smelling. All the foods from these trees were overflowing with a wonderful fragrance. In the middle of the trees was the tree of life. This is the place where the Lord rests when he goes up into paradise. This tree has goodness and fragrance that cannot be described, and it is more beautiful than anything else that exists. On all sides, it looked like gold, red and fiery, covering everything. It produced all kinds of fruits. Its root was in the garden at the earth's end. Paradise itself is a place between things that can decay and things that cannot decay. From it 2 springs flow, giving forth honey and milk. 2 other springs give forth oil and wine. These divide into 4 parts and flow gently, going down into the paradise of Eden, which is also between what can decay and what cannot. From there, they flow along the earth and follow their own path, just like the other elements. In this place, there are no trees that do not bear fruit, and every part of it is blessed. There are 300 very bright angels who guard the garden. They serve the Lord continuously with sweet singing and never-ending voices, all day and all night. Enoch said, "How very sweet this place is." The men said to him, "This place, Enoch, is prepared for the righteous. These are the ones who endure all kinds of unfair treatment from those who upset their souls, who turn their eyes away from evil, and who make fair judgments. They give bread to the hungry, clothe the naked, help the fallen, and assist injured orphans. They live without fault before God and serve only Him. This place is prepared for them as their eternal home." Then the 2 men led Enoch up to the northern side and showed him a very terrible place. In that place were all sorts of flaming torches, cruel darkness, and gloom without any light. There was no light there, only dark fire constantly burning high up. A fiery river flowed forth, and the whole place was filled with fire everywhere. Everywhere there was also frost and ice, thirst and shivering. The chains were very cruel, and the angels there were fearful and showed no mercy. They carried angry weapons and brought endless torture. Enoch said, "Oh, oh, how very terrible this place is." The men said to him, "This place, Enoch, is prepared for those who dishonor God. These are the ones on earth who commit unnatural sins, like the corruption of children, in a mythical way. These are the ones who do magic, enchantments, and evil witchcraft. These are the ones who brag about their wicked actions, like stealing, lying, causing disasters, and spreading jealousy, hatred, sexual immorality, and murder. These are the cursed ones who steal the souls of people. These are the ones who, when they see the poor, take their belongings and make themselves rich, hurting others for money. These are the ones who could feed the hungry, but let them die of starvation instead. These are the ones who could clothe the naked, but leave them to suffer. These are the ones who did not know their Creator and bowed down to gods without souls or life, who can neither see nor hear. These are useless gods, who also made human idols and bowed down to unclean man-made things. For all these people, this place is prepared as their eternal punishment." The fourth heaven then, the men took Enoch and led him up to the fourth heaven. There, they showed him all the regular movements and all the rays of light from the sun and moon. Enoch measured their movements and compared their light, seeing that the sun's light was greater than the moon's. The sun's circle and the wheels it travels on always move like the wind, with amazing speed. It has no rest day or night. Its journey out and back is accompanied by 4 great stars. Each of these stars has 1,000 stars under it. There are 4 great stars to the right of the sun's wheel and 4 to the left, each with 1,000 stars beneath it. In total, 8,000 stars come out with the sun continually during the day. 15,000 angels serve it. At night, 1,000 winged angels come out with the angels before the sun's wheel into the fiery flames, and 100 angels light the sun and make it shine. Enoch looked and saw other flying beings of the sun called phoenixes and chalcodri. They were marvelous and wonderful. They had feet and tails like a lion and a crocodile's head. Their appearance was as beautiful as a rainbow, and their size was 900 measures. Their wings were like those of angels, and each had 12. They serve and accompany the sun, carrying heat and dew as God commands them. So the sun goes around, rises under the heaven, and its path goes under the earth with its rays shining constantly. The men carried Enoch to the east and placed him at the sun's gates. This is where the sun comes out according to the order of the seasons, the cycle of the months for the whole year, and the number of hours in day and night. Enoch saw 6 open gates, each gate being 61 stadia and a quarter of a stadium wide. He measured them carefully and understood their size. Through these gates, the sun goes out and travels to the west, making the days and nights equal and rising throughout all the months. Then it turns back again from the 6 gates, according to the changing seasons. In this way, the whole year ends after the 4 seasons return. Again, the men led Enoch to the western parts and showed him 6 great open gates that matched the eastern gates. These were opposite where the sun sets, according to the 365 and a quarter days. So it goes down again to the western gates and takes its light, its great brightness, under the earth. Since its shining crown is in heaven with the Lord, it is guarded by 400 angels. The sun travels on a wheel under the earth and stays for 7 long hours at night. It spends half its journey under the earth. When it reaches the eastern entrance, at the 8th hour of the night, it brings its light and its shining crown. Then the sun blazes forth more than fire. The beings of the sun, called phoenixes and chalcodri, then burst into song. Therefore, every bird flaps its wings, joyful at the giver of light. They sang at the Lord's command, saying, "The giver of light comes to bring brightness to the whole world." And the morning light appears, which is the sun's rays, and the sun of the earth comes out and receives its brightness to light up the whole face of the earth. They showed Enoch this calculation of the sun's movement and the gates it enters through. These are the great gates for calculating the hours of the year. For this reason, the sun is a great creation whose cycle lasts 28 years and then starts again from the beginning. The men showed Enoch the other celestial body, the moon. There are 12 great gates, arranged from west to east, through which the moon enters and leaves at its usual times. It enters through the first gate to the western places of the sun. Through the first gate, 31 days exactly. Through the second gate, 31 days exactly. Through the third gate, 30 days exactly. Through the fourth gate, 30 days exactly. Through the fifth gate, 31 days exactly. Through the sixth gate, 31 days exactly. Through the seventh gate, 30 days exactly. Through the eighth gate, 31 days perfectly. Through the ninth gate, 31 days exactly. Through the 10th gate, 30 days perfectly. Through the 11th gate, 31 days exactly. Through the 12th gate, 28 days exactly. The moon goes through the western gates in the same order and number as the eastern gates and completes the 365 and a quarter days of the solar year. However, The lunar year has 354 days, so it is missing 12 days compared to the solar cycle. These are the lunar epochs for the whole year. Thus, the great cycle of the moon contains 532 years. The quarter of a day is skipped for 3 years, and the fourth year completes it exactly. Therefore, these extra days are taken outside of heaven for 3 years, and are not added to the number of days because they change the timing of the years, adding 2 new months towards completion and taking away 2 others towards shortening. When the western gates are finished, the moon returns and goes to the eastern gates, to the lights. It goes like this day and night around the heavenly circles, lower than all other circles, faster than the heavenly winds, spirits, elements, and flying angels. Each angel has 6 wings, and the moon has a 7-part journey over 19 years. In the middle of the heavens, Enoch saw armed soldiers serving the Lord with drums and organs, singing continuously with sweet voices in various songs that are impossible to describe and that amaze every mind. The singing of those angels was so wonderful and marvelous that Enoch was delighted listening to it. The 5th heaven. Then the men took Enoch up to the 5th heaven and placed him there. He saw many countless soldiers called Grigori, who looked like humans. Their size was greater than that of great giants. Their faces were wrinkled and old, and their mouths were always silent. There was no worship or service in this 5th heaven. Enoch asked the men who were with him, "Why are these beings so withered? Why are their faces sad and their mouths silent? And why is there no service in this heaven?" They said to him, "These are the Grigori who, along with their prince Satanael, rejected the Lord of light. After them, those who are held in great darkness are in the 2nd heaven. 3 of them went down onto the earth from the Lord's throne to a place called Urban. They broke their promises on the shoulder of the hill. They saw the daughters of men, how beautiful they were, and took wives for themselves. They made the earth dirty with their actions. Throughout their lives, they caused lawlessness and mixing, and giants were born, amazingly large men of great hostility. Therefore, God judged them with a great judgment, and they cry for their brothers. They will be punished on the Lord's great day." Enoch said to the Grigori, "I saw your brothers, their actions, and their great suffering. I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to be under the earth until the existing heaven and earth end forever." Then Enoch said, "Why do you wait, brothers, and not serve before the Lord? Why have you not offered your services before the Lord, lest you anger your Lord completely?" They listened to Enoch's advice and spoke to the 4 groups in heaven. And behold, as Enoch stood with the 2 men, 4 trumpets blew together with a great sound, and the Grigori burst into song with one voice. Their voice went up before the Lord, full of pity and emotion. The 6th heaven, and then the men took Enoch and carried him up to the 6th heaven. There Enoch saw 7 groups of angels, very bright and very glorious. Their faces shone more brightly than the sun, glistening. There was no difference in their faces, behavior, or clothing. These angels set the order, learn the movements of the stars, the changes of the moon, the turning of the sun, and the good governance of the world. When they see evil being done, they make commands and give instructions. With sweet and loud singing and all songs of praise, they serve the Lord. These are the archangels who are above other angels. They measure all life in heaven and on earth. And there are angels appointed over seasons and years, angels over rivers and the sea, angels over the fruits of the earth, and angels over every plant that provides food for all living things. There are also angels who write down all the souls of men, all their deeds, and their lives before the Lord. In their midst are 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, and 6 six-winged beings, singing continuously with one voice. It is impossible to describe their singing. They rejoiced before the Lord at his footstool. The 7th heaven, then the 2 men lifted Enoch up from there to the 7th heaven. There he saw a very great light and fiery groups of great archangels, forces without bodies, dominions, orders, governments, cherubim, seraphim, thrones, and those with many eyes. There were 9 regiments, the eternal stations of light. Enoch became afraid and began to tremble with great terror. The men took Enoch and led him after them, saying, "Be brave, Enoch, do not be afraid." And they showed him the Lord from afar, sitting on his very high throne, the 10th heaven, Aravoth. But what is in the 10th heaven? Since the Lord lives there, the 10th heaven is where God is. In the Hebrew language, it is called Aravath. All the heavenly groups would come and stand on the 10 steps according to their rank. They would bow down to the Lord and then return to their places with joy and happiness, singing songs in the boundless light with small and gentle voices, serving him gloriously. The cherubim and seraphim stand around the throne. The 6-winged and many-eyed ones do not leave. They stand before the Lord, doing his will, and cover his whole throne, singing with a gentle voice before the Lord. Holy, holy, holy Lord, ruler of Sabbath, heavens and earth are full of your glory. When Enoch saw all these things, the men said to him, "Enoch, this is as far as we are commanded to journey with you." And the men went away from Enoch, and he saw them no more. Enoch remained alone at the end of the 7th heaven. Then he became afraid and fell on his face, saying to himself, "Oh no, what has happened to me?" The Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel. Gabriel said to Enoch, "Be brave, Enoch, do not be afraid. Rise up before the Lord into eternity. Rise, come with me." Enoch answered him and said to himself, "My Lord, my soul has left me because of terror and trembling. I called to the men who led me to this place. I relied on them, and it is with them that I would go before the Lord." But Gabriel lifted Enoch up as a leaf is carried by the wind and placed him before the Lord as face. The 8th and 9th heavens, Enoch saw the 8th heaven, which in the Hebrew language is called Muzaloth. This heaven changes the seasons of dry and wet, and contains the 12 constellations in the circle of the firmament, which are above the 7th heaven. And Enoch saw the 9th heaven, which in Hebrew is called Koshivim. This is where the heavenly homes of the 12 constellations of the circle of the firmament are. Return to the 10th heaven and God's commands. Finally, Enoch was brought to the 10th heaven, the highest of all, which is called Aravoth. He saw the appearance of the Lord as face, like iron that has been made to glow in fire, and then brought out, giving off sparks and burning. This is how Enoch saw the Lord's face. But the Lord's face is beyond words, marvelous, very awe-inspiring, and very, very terrifying. And who was Enoch to speak of the Lord's unspeakable being and his very wonderful face? He could not tell the number of his many instructions and various voices. The Lord's throne is very great, and not made by hands. Enoch could not tell the number of those standing around him, groups of cherubim and seraphim, nor their constant singing, nor his unchanging beauty. And who can speak of the unspeakable greatness of his glory? Enoch fell flat on his face and bowed down to the Lord. And the Lord, with his lips, said to Enoch, "Be brave, Enoch. Do not be afraid. Rise and stand before my face into eternity." Then the archangel Michael lifted Enoch up and led him before the Lord. And the Lord said to his servants, testing them, "Let Enoch stand before my face into eternity." And the glorious ones bowed down to the Lord and said, "Let Enoch go according to your word." And the Lord said to Michael, "Go, take Enoch out of his earthly clothes, and anoint him with my sweet ointment. Put him into the clothes of my glory." And Michael did this as the Lord commanded him. He anointed Enoch and dressed him. The appearance of that ointment was brighter than a great light. His ointment was like sweet dew, and its scent was gentle, shining like the sun's ray. Enoch looked at himself, and he was like one of God's glorious ones. And the Lord called one of his archangels by the name Pravul. Pravul's knowledge was quicker in wisdom than the other archangels, and he wrote all the Lord's deeds. And the Lord said to Pravul, "Bring out the books from my storehouses and a reed for quick writing, and give it to Enoch. Hand him the special and comforting books from your hand." And Pravul was telling Enoch all the works of heaven, earth and sea, and all the elements, their paths and movements, and the sound of thunders, the sun and moon, their movements and changes, the stars, the seasons, years, days, and hours, the rising of the wind, the number of the angels, and the way their songs are formed. He also told him about all human things, the language of every human song and life, the commandments, instructions, and sweet singing voices, and all things that are good to learn. And Pravul told Enoch all the things that Enoch then recorded. "Sit and write down all the souls of mankind, however many of them are born, in the places prepared for them for eternity. For all souls are prepared for eternity before the world was made, and all are in double. This was to be done for 30 days and 30 nights. And Enoch wrote down all things exactly, and he wrote 366 books. And the Lord called Enoch and said to him, "Enoch, sit down on my left with Gabriel." And Enoch bowed to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Enoch, "Enoch, my beloved, all that you see, all things that are standing finished, I tell to you, even before the very beginning. All that I created from nothing, invisible things made visible, and physical things from the invisible. Hear, Enoch, and take in these my words. For I have not told my secret to my angels, and I have not told them their origin, nor my endless kingdom, nor have they understood my creation, which I tell you today. For before all things were visible, I alone used to go about in the invisible things, like the sun from east to west, and from west to east. But even the sun has peace in itself, while I found no peace, because I was creating all things. And I thought of placing foundations, and of creating visible creation." The enduring message of Enoch. And so, Enoch's journey through the 10 heavens came to an end. From the shining and glorious heavenly places to the prisons of angels who fell, from the storage places of the stars to God's very throne, Enoch saw secrets that humans cannot understand. He saw the perfect order of creation, the judgment waiting for those who rebel, and the eternal reward prepared for those who are good. Through it all, one truth remains clear. God reigns supreme over all the heavens and the earth. Enoch was chosen to see and write down these important messages, not just for himself, but for all generations to come. It is a message of warning, hope, and divine truth. Now, the question remains, what will we do with this knowledge? Will we try to live rightly and prepare our hearts for the eternal kingdom? Or will we turn away, ignoring the heavenly secrets that have been revealed? The Book of Enoch gives us a look at God's greatness, His justice, and His eternal plan. May we live with faith and seek the Lord, so that when our time comes, we too may stand before His throne, dressed in His glory, just as Enoch was. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the 10 heavens of Enoch. If you found this insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more biblical mysteries revealed. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Shalom.